This is an engraving my dad, James Howard, did, I believe back in 1953. And it is an image of a banjo player. So I'm getting ready to ink it for the first time. Well, actually, this is the third time today that I've inked it. I guess it's been 50, let's see, it was in 53. He's 60 years ago or so.
Yeah. Year before you were born.
That's right, a year before I was born. What I'm doing is I'm forcing the ink into the engraved lines. And the first time I did this, about an hour ago, it took some doing and getting all the ink down into the lines. But now, since it has some ink in it, it's been a little easier to do.
Is that ink akin to the same kind of ink that would come out of a ballpoint pen thing?
No.
It looks so thick.
It is thick.
I know when I've broken that little straw on the, not the refillable, but the fixed kind, it was very thick like that. Actually, probably not that thick. But you know, it was like you see a little bit on you and then you try to wipe it off and it goes a really long way.
Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take a dirty cheesecloth and get most of the ink off the plate.
So it does go a long way. If you left that ink on, it would have just covered when you press down on it. It's just gone everywhere, wouldn't it?
It has to be inked, re-inked every time you want to make a print. So my dad, they called him Pete. He asked me to print this for him so that he can give it to the university where we taught for many years. It was a junior college when he taught there, and then eventually became the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith. Before that, it was West Ark Community College. So, slowly taking the ink off. I'm not pressing real hard right now. I'm just passing the cheesecloth along the top of it, because what you want to do is get the ink off the top of the plate and not take ink from the lines. stop it for a minute. I gotta wash my hands.
Want it to,
Just a sec.
if it's doing good, then keep at it. If not, just tap an area.
Okay.
Alright, the next thing I'm gonna do is wipe the plate with my hand to get the excess oil and ink off the top.
So what did you put on your hand? I missed that.
Talc. A little bit of talc. You don't want it to be too much. But the talc absorbs the ink. And this is the part of the printmaking, or the making of the print, that is really crucial. The first time I inked this plate, it took forever, I thought, but I persevered. I didn't make any shortcuts because I wanted a really nice print. So I'm just lightly brushing my hand over the top of the plate.
Like a dry sponge.
We'll come over here and you can see the engraved lines. And you can also see where the lines are not, there's still some ink on top. There needs to be separation between some of these lines. So I need to keep wiping it. A little bit more talc. On my hand. I'm going to give extra attention to these lines in here that are very, very close together. So I'm still getting ink off there. I thought I might have over-wiped it the first time I did this. It actually came out pretty good. First printing always gives you an idea of what you need to do for the second print. I'm not going to wipe this one near as much as I did the last two, just to see what happens. I don't know, I like a little bit of noise in my prints. This is remarkably well preserved for its age. The fact that my dad probably kept it out in the barn for 60 years. Shame on you, Dad. And they don't make copper plates like they used to. I mean, this is really thick and really heavy. You don't use near as thick a gauge as what he used. I guess copper was cheaper back then.
So was Sody Pop.
So was Sody Pop.
You do tap an area.
Mm-hmm.
If you're zoomed in and you're in a bad angle for holding, if you tap an area, it'll stabilize even better.
Okay.
It'll kind of undo once you've changed scenario enough. You gotta do it until it shows a square.
Okay.
You don't have to. I'm just letting you know if you really zoomed in.
Okay. Aerial view.
Okay, here we go.
That's a good shot. That's good. And actually what I said is you can negate a little bit. It's more for action shots that are zoomed in.
Mm-hmm.
If it's got a good focus, then you're... It's crazy.
Wash my hands again.
And it'll get amazingly close. If you start to, the closer you get without zoom, the closer it can get for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So this is print paper that's been soaking the last 15 or so minutes. You have to soften the paper so that when you run it through the press, it forces the paper down into the lines, and then it picks up the ink.
Is that what you do with the citric acid?
No.
Just water?
Water.
Oh, that was for engraving.
wiping the excess water off. Determining the right side. Okay, this is the right side.
Man, I would have a field day on that one.
I don't think it's
It's not
straight.
aligned. It's not aligned.
I don't think it probably is well aligned, but
Well, I've seen how they come out when they're not totally aligned, and it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't make it, you know. There's nothing wrong with it.
okay, here we go. Check the pressure.
How do you know the pressure's good?
Well, because the first one I
You
did,
said it.
I experimented, set it. So I've got it on pretty heavy pressure. You really want
Get those details out.
to get all those details. Okay, I'm gonna, you ready?
Yeah.
Wow.
Here you go, Dad. This is for you.
Wow.
It's magic.
It is.
And your plate is in amazing shape. It's in amazing shape.
That's where that indentation comes from. That is so cool.
Oh, you know what? I have it upside down. Banjo player. 1953.
I love the hand.
Got it.
Thank you.
And there's a button right up here when it's off. Normally you can always do it, but that's photo. You can hold it down and then press. Oh, you're still recording. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll just let you know in case.
The zoom switch, it needs to be, instead of dead center on the top, it'd be nice